In a recent video exchange between Zomgit's Chris and Bionic Dance and later DevShell, an old issue was revived. It's an issue that I've talked about before. It's the definition of agnostic and how it relates to atheism. In the video exchange, it started off with Zomgit's making the point that she doesn't identify as an agnostic. She identifies as an atheist, so she shouldn't be called an agnostic atheist. Bionic Dance came back with a counter-argument that whether you identify with it or not, if the label fits, the label fits. And I agree with both ladies in that you shouldn't be necessarily pigeonholed into something that you haven't personally stated that you are. But if on the other hand, if the shoe fits, you have to wear it. The thing is that Chris then countered that she doesn't use the etymological definition of agnostic, which is not gnostic knowledge, or without knowledge. She claims basically to be sure enough that there is no God, and that's a reasonable enough assertion. It's one that I made in my previous video on being a strong atheist. If you're certain enough, then you're certain. However, as Bionic Dance points out, there is no absolute knowledge, and therefore we're not actually able to say 100% that we have no knowledge. Therefore, we are all agnostic in the etymological sense, because we are all without certain knowledge. It was also discussed that the word was actually a word that came into the vernacular because of Thomas Huxley, who I've also mentioned before, who said that the reason that he wanted to call himself an agnostic is that he didn't like the atheists that he knew and didn't want to be associated with them. So he came up with his own word, agnostic. The problem is he didn't consider the etymology, as Bionic Dance pointed out. What Kate suggested was that since the word agnostic has a certain meaning, whether he meant that when he formed the word, the definition also applies, as does the definition that he created for it, since that was the creation. He could have made up any word. He could have made up the word grand balloon, like Dick Vonnegut. Just made up the word out of whole cloth. But he didn't. He used an etymological word, therefore it has that extra etymological meaning. My suggestion, and this is just a suggestion, it's probably never going to go anywhere, is that we actually abandon Thomas Huxley's word as far as an identifier for ourselves. If we are atheists, we are atheists. We are not agnostic in the sense that Thomas Huxley meant it. So in that sense, Chris is correct. However, the word exists in the language, and so it's going to be applied. But Huxley made a mistake, and the mistake has to be accounted for. The word that he should have used was amfivolio. That's the Greek word that he should have used, because that's the word that means doubt. So therefore, I suggest that we use the word Amfivolist. We are doubters. We are not people who know that there is no God with 100% certainty. The level of doubt that we have can vary greatly. But we are all doubters. None of us know that there is no God. And nobody knows that there is a God. Therefore, everybody is an Amfivolist. Everybody. Unless you've met God, shaken his hand, come back, you're an Amfivolist. So there's a word that we can apply to everybody. And by declaring ourselves Amfivolists, we are declaring our doubt. Theists will not declare themselves. They will not identify as Amfivolists. But we can create a bigger tent by using the word Amfivol. I'm an Amfivol. If you're watching this, you're probably an Amfivol. Amfivolists of the world unite. Thank you.